Hi, my name's Sarah, and this is a short talk on global warming, what it is and what you can do to help. So first of all, we naturally have greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, and these greenhouse gases are called that because what they do is trap heat from our sun and then radiate it back down to Earth. And these are essential. Without these greenhouse gases, we'd freeze. But because of our lifestyles, especially over the last 50 years or so, what we've done is produce too many of these greenhouse gases. And that means there's a thick layer now where there didn't used to be, and it means less heat can escape out into space, and so more heat's being radiated back down to Earth. And this has caused a temperature rise approximately 1 degree Celsius or 2 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment, but it is getting warmer. Even this small rise in temperature has had quite an impact on our climate. So we are having more hurricanes, more droughts, severe droughts, and that obviously has an impact on our food supply. There's strange weather patterns, and obviously some of the ice caps have melted. This has caused a rise in sea level, which has meant that some of the coastal areas have become uninhabitable. Now 2020 tied with 2016 as the hottest year on record since records began in 1880. And if you look at the records, most of the hottest years have been in the last 10 years. So it's not a one-off. Weather's definitely getting warmer, and it's increasing. So the main culprit of this, there are quite a few big impacts, but one of the main ones is the burning of fossil fuels. Now these fossil fuels are gas, oil, coal and wood, and what happens is that as they're burnt off for electricity or using them in the car or when we fly, they produce carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is one of the greenhouse gases. Now we have trees which absorb carbon dioxide, but we've done a lot of deforestation, which has meant there are less trees. And the oceans and seas also absorb carbon dioxide and heat, and they have done, but this has caused a rise in the sea and ocean level, and it's also meant that the water has become more acidic, which combined with overfishing is producing a lot less, which means we have a lot less fish in the ocean because a lot of fish can't survive in more acidic waters. So we all need to play a part. What tends to happen is that people put their head in the sand and think, oh, it's somebody else's problem. But it's not. And it's everybody's problem. And everybody needs to act, because otherwise we're actually going to come to a stage where what we're doing to the planet is unsustainable. So if we carry on the way we're going, then we're just not going to have enough food to put on the table. You know, some people say, well, it's not my problem. I'll be dead in 20 years, etc., etc. But you know what? You know, you have to reincarnate, and you're going to reincarnate back on this planet. So, do you want to reincarnate on a planet next time that you have to fight for food? Don't think so. So we need to do things now so we can keep it sustainable. So I have compiled a little list. And the first list is what you can do at no cost to you that's going to help the planet. And in fact, a lot of it might even save you money. So the first one is just get rid of this. The first one is to switch to an electric company which is using green energy. Now this green energy has come down a lot in price, and it might even be cheaper than the electric you were using before. So the green energy is things like hydroelectric, it's solar, it's wind farms, it's wave energy, or geothermal energy, so that's heat coming off the ground. So do a little bit of research, look into different electric companies and find out which ones are using green energy and switch over to them. On the subject of electricity, don't leave things charging when they've charged to 100%, because they just keep using a little bit of electric, and even to unplug them. And also do things like unplug your appliances at night, things like your television. You know, they stay on, you leave the little button on, but even that just uses a little bit of electricity. Try and if it's too hot, rather than use the air conditioning, you know, try and open windows and doors if you can. Obviously don't freeze in the winter, but don't have your house like an oven so you can walk around in a t-shirt. You know, put a jumper on, use a jumper. So you're using less electricity to warm your house. Don't tumble dry your clothes. You can use, you know, a line outside or a rack inside. Just put it near a window so they dry in the sun. A huge one is having less children. Okay, so each person has a huge impact on the environment. So if we can moderate, I know some people love, you know, having big families, but big families usually have big families, and our population obviously is increasing at a huge amount, which is having a huge impact on our farming methods and our water, etc., etc. So, you know, try and moderate your family size if you can. Another big impact is eating less meat. So even if you could eat, try not to have meat on 2 days. If you have meat every day, try and have 2 days where you don't eat meat, and you can get your protein from other foods such as beans and legumes and eggs, etc., etc. And what happens with meat is that farmers have taken a lot of forest for grazing, so that obviously means less trees again. Some animals such as sheep and cattle produce a lot of methane, which is a greenhouse gas, and other animals that are reared for food like intensively, like pigs and chickens, that uses a lot of fossil fuels. So try and eat a little less meat too. When you're driving, make sure the tires in your car are inflated to the recommended levels, because if they're too flat, then that uses more oil. And try and drive a little bit slower and steady. You know, don't sit at the traffic lights revving away, or don't just jam your foot down the accelerator. Slow and steady, and as I say, a little bit slower has a significant amount on the amount of petrol or diesel that you use. And I'm just going to check to see if I haven't missed anything. Okay, showers. Obviously shorter shower if you can, but you know, if you like to stay in the shower for a long time, then only have your water coming out half blast instead of full blast. Walk instead of taking the car. You know, people are getting more and more, are getting larger and larger, and it's because it's so easy just to jump in the car, even if you're going a short distance. So walk if you can, and that's obviously going to affect your health too. And if you can't walk, it's too far, you know, if you can take the bus or the train, or share a ride with somebody else if you can. And the other thing is to try and write to your government, or form a group and write to your government together, or your council or your local mayor, etc., and just find out what they're doing to help, and give them a little bit of hassle if they're not doing very much. And you know, if property developers were made to put in solar right at the very beginning when they're building houses, that would be a lot cheaper than trying to put it in later when people have to strengthen their houses. So, you know, there are things that the governments could do if you gave them a little bit of hassle. They are doing things. A lot of governments are being very proactive, but there are still some governments that putting their head in the sand. Okay, so things you can do that cost a little bit. One is changing the light bulbs to energy efficient light bulbs. Plant some trees, plant as many trees as you can. Growing your own food. Actually, this should go in the low cost to no cost column. Grow your own food, because one, you're going to miss out on shipping costs, and so that's going to shipping costs and the supermarket costs, so it's going to be a lot cheaper. And two, it's obviously not going to be using up oil to get to your table, and it's hopefully, if you don't put too many sprays on it, it's actually going to be healthier for you anyway. Obviously, try and not to use too much in the way of herbicides and pesticides, etc. Try and insulate your house. You can sometimes get government grants for this, so look into insulating your house. And if you need to change any appliances in your house, like the washing machine or dishwasher, etc., then obviously look at the labels. The appliances are given star ratings for water and electric, so try and go for those ones using the lower amounts of water and electric. And obviously, if you have lots of money, you could think of changing your car to maybe a hybrid, which uses less oil. And there are a few hydrogen cars on the market, not many. Hydrogen is quite new in the car market, and solar cars apparently are coming, maybe in 2021, but which is this year, but we'll just have to wait and see. So look into changing your car, and also look into producing your own electric. So you can fit solar, you can have a wind turbine, or you can go geothermal. And sometimes, if you produce too much electric, you can actually sell it back to the electric grid. So you can create a bit of income for yourself too. Okay, so I hope that's useful. And as I say, everybody needs to do a little bit. We can't just look the other way, because it's not going to go away by itself. Okay, best wishes.